All right, Zels, I've crunched into a bathroom up in the penthouse suite. The wind is blowing, and it's the winds of change for the Springboks. We've certainly settled on a new look box squad going into 2026, the big one in Dublin. And for the first time, no surprises from Rassie Erasmus.
Mate, I don't know. I don't know. Atticus Neyman, it's his 50th. I see he's playing off the bench, mate. He's the one guy that maybe is a bit of a surprise. But like you said, the rest of the team, exactly what we expected. You called it earlier in the week. The return of the old heads in the midfield. Kanan slides out to 14. Cal A not available because of a concussion. Cheslin back in on the left wing and Gaza at the back. And then it's the old guard up front, mate, with that power-packed bench. Those two heavyweight props coming on. And a huge opportunity for Johannes Robelaar as the backup hooker in a crunch match.
Well, I think for Krobbies, the fact that he went pretty much the distance against Italy, he needed that hit out. He was very good. That's reward for form on tour. Thought it would have been unfair if Bongi had come in and gone straight in. You probably see Bongi playing against Wales next weekend. And then for me, the only two, it was going to either be Kane Moody or Ethan Hooker, one of the two, if Curtly Aronson wasn't available. And then was he going to go Marnie Lebok on the bench or was he going to go Pollard on the bench? And he's trusted the Sasha, Feinberg, Mngomezulu, and Marnie Lebok combination that worked so well in the latter part of the Rugby Championship and worked very well against France. So he's again trusted the newer brigade as such. He said Andre Pollard kicked 8 penalties in Durban, 24 points, didn't miss one. And they still lost that one, 25-24. The big thing for me, Zels, is going back, and the only 4 relevant matches, and I keep on saying this week, is the 4 that they've played since Rassie's basically been involved, Rassie and Jacques Nienaber. That goes back to 2022, the 1916 in Dublin, the 13-8 at Paris in the 2003 World Cup league round, and then Pretoria 27-20 to the box, and obviously 25-24. 77 points plays 75. That's 19.25 plays 18.75. Less than a point, half a point separates the two teams. Ireland have scored 7 tries in that period, and we scored 6, but we've missed a hell of a lot of points off the kicking tee. It could quite easily have been 3 from 4 because we didn't miss in Durban and we still lost, but we also didn't score a try. So for all our attacking, we struggled to score tries against these guys. They've been the best attacking team for 5-6 years in Europe. They have struggled to score tries against us. Talk me through it. Why has it been pretty much a stalemate in terms of the numbers when these two teams have played over the last 3-4 years?
Yeah, I think Ireland deserve a lot of credit. I mean, they punked the All Blacks to kind of announce their arrival as serious contenders in the world, and they are a very smart team, and historically they've been very well coached. And I think this particular group of players, which is part of the sort of Nucifora Island salvage job, he did a great job helping to assemble a team that has some really good players in it. But that team is aging, and we're going to find out just how far they've aged, I think, this weekend. But, in the recent history of this rivalry, Ireland have been absolutely full value for their results. We saw how they found a way to get the win against the Boks last season, in South Africa, and we've not got the wood over them there. I think the fact that, it's a bit like Samson with the hair, mate. I think us playing in our green jersey this weekend is going to bring us back to our best again. We're long overdue to get a win in Dublin again. And I think I think this Bok team has, despite age, has created depth. So we may be an old team, but we're old in numbers. So we can absorb injuries. We can absorb dubious suspensions and red cards. And I think Ireland just don't have that same depth pool. And I think we're going to see the difference between the sort of depth and quality of these two squads this weekend.
When you look at both squads, there's a core 12 to 14 players that have been around for those 4 matches. I think there's 13 of the South Africans that have played in all 4 of those matches, and they are big names. Those are your big World Cup winners, your Peter Steph du Toits, your Siya Khaleesi's, your Ebens. In the backs, the Jesse Krills, Damien Delandi, Damien Willemse, Cheslin Colby. I mean, those are big name players. To think that they've gone 3 from 4 and not beaten this Irish team. As you say, it is a credit to what Ireland has achieved. The pity is that these teams don't play each other more. That will change. We play them again next year in the Nations Championship. We play them in Dublin. But it's been few and far between when these two teams have met, which also probably adds to the mystique. But like when we used to play the All Blacks in the old days, and you had to wait and you had to make that game count. Looking at Saturday, do you? We know how tough these Boks are. We've been raving about them, waxing purple pros. Is there any bit of doubt in that Bok mindset that, hang on a second, every now and again you get an opponent that you somehow just don't put away and you can't beat? Is Ireland going to be the nemesis for the greatest Springbok team ever?
No, no, mate. I know you're joking, so I'm not going to fall for the bait there, mate. No chance whatsoever that's going to be the case. But what I will say is this. I will say this. There was at the start of the season, there were three big games. I sent you a voice note earlier in the week. I SMS'd it to you. I'm not sure whether it got there, mate. I know your phone, you've been having issues with WhatsApp, but I sent you a voice note earlier in the week. Three big games at the start of the season. It was us at Eden Park, it was us in Paris, and it was us in Dublin. And we messed up the Eden Park game quite badly, and we produced an epic performance to leave the French capital as victors. We have to win on Saturday. This game has massive significance because it's effectively the tiebreaker in the three biggest games of the season, if you ask me. We have to beat Ireland. This is the result that's going to make the season a roaring success. And I'm not taking anything away from having backed up and won the Rugby Championship or the incredible performance in the second test against New Zealand. But at the start of the season, if we'd mapped out the season, we would have said, hey, the big things here are try win at Eden Park, show that you were better than France the whole way going, and let's go get that rare victory in Dublin, one that we haven't tasted for some time. So for me, it's very important that the Boks get it right this week. I as much as I'm absolutely standing ovation for the Boks in finding a way to win, despite the red cards and the drama of the last two tests, for me, it can't distract from the fact that this test is crucial. The Boks must win this weekend. We must get the Irish scalp in Ireland so that we fly into 2026, having ticked off 2025 with a double green tick.
So who's pressure? Who's the pressure on? Farrell and the Irish to continue the holdout that they've had over us, even though it hasn't been over many matches, in Dublin at the Aviva, to kind of end on a particularly good note, having smashed Australia 46-19. Put aside the woe of the performance the last 20 minutes against the All Blacks in Chicago. Is the pressure more on us or is the pressure more on them?
Given no, what mate, you've just only one team. Only one team under pressure, mate. That's Ireland. The Boks are not under pressure. We already know we're the best team in the world, but we're the best team in the world because we hold ourselves to that standard. So for a lesser team, the fact that you, against all odds, won in Paris and you got a rare victory in New Zealand, that'd be enough. But not these guys. These guys are double world champions, soon to be triple world champions. And because we hold ourselves to that standard, mate, this match in Ireland's massive. So I wouldn't say it's a pressure thing for us, but it certainly is something that the Boks will be measured against afterwards, I would think. For Ireland, they're under massive pressure because they know, hey, the clock's ticking. I can't touch my toes anymore, and I've got to play the double world champions in Dublin this week to defend my pride. I don't think they've got the ammo to pull it off, and I think the Boks are going to come away with the win.
All right, the two matches that we would look at with greatest significance would be Pretoria and Durban, because Tony Brown had come into the system. Jacques Nienaber had gone to Leinster. He's out the system. So let's put 2023 behind us and say that was part of a different coaching structure. We've now had 2 seasons. Ireland got the first taste of the new age Boks under Tony Brown. We saw a very different first 20 minutes in Pretoria. It became a bit helter-skelter. Durban, we saw the Boks go back to a lot more traditional game. Pollard got them back into that game. They were 16-6 down. He got them back ahead. And then Frawley kicked those 2 incredible drop goals, the last one in the 82nd minute from 45 meters, and got Ireland a famous win and draw the series 1-1. If you look at the Irish team and you look at the Bok team 18 months down the line from those 2 test matches, where would you say they are? Who's evolved the most? And how different a challenge do you think the Irish would expect from the Boks on Saturday than what they got in Durban?
Mate, I think the biggest difference between the two teams is the 23 syllables that is Sasha, Feinberg, and Gomezulu. I think that's the game changer. So yes, the Boks experimented with Tony Ball and they made some strides and they certainly became more confident and probably competent in playing a more expansive game. But as soon as the heat came on and Rassie had to get back on the dance floor, you saw the Boks revert to type, get back to physical smash mouth rugby, dragging oaks into the gutter, punching them in the guts and pulling their shirts over their head. So that is the traditional Bok brand. And I think we are, like I say, more comfortable playing an attacking game, but we have gone back to what works for us in many respects. The foundations are still massive scrum. We've got Quadzilla that comes on in the second half, just wrecks the set piece. And specifically, Radio Glitch, he comes on at 10 mates and he can just turn the game whenever he feels like it. And I think that trump card is too much. You know, teams are stressing and spending the week trying to find a way to just slow the roll of this Bok pack. And then you throw a magician in the mix who could take any momentum, whether it's positive or negative, and turn it into tries. And it basically becomes impossible to beat this team. There's just too many layers to this Bok team when you add in a guy like SFM. And I think that's the greatest difference. I do think Ireland are on the wane. I don't think that they've got the youth coming through like they would have needed to replace what has been a golden generation for them. And the Boks have answered that question by just creating depth from the same generation. So we've got 4, 5, 6 locks who are in their 30s, but they're all of similar caliber. And so we can absorb injuries to older guys. So I wouldn't say so much we've evolved from a player point of view. We've discovered Sasha. We've got Ethan Hooker who's come through. Kane and Moody's a young blood. The rest is pretty much the same blokes. And that's not discounting what Brian Fenter's done this season and the like. But I just think the majority of our gains are in the fact that we've experimented with some expansive play. We've rediscovered the effectiveness of the traditional South African game. And then we've peppered that with some amazing playmaking ability, elite, world-class, unparalleled playmaking ability in Glitch.
Does it surprise you that Sasha wasn't one of the World Players of the Year?
It did originally, but then I saw in the fine print that the bloke had to have been in the last year. He had to have made his. Oh, you mean for World Player
I'm talking
of the
about
Year?
the main Player of the Year, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the main one. Yeah. Look, he played 7 tests. I think he's played 7 tests this year. I'm not sure if that's enough. I think everybody knows. He is probably top 3 in the world in terms of the best player on the planet. I think Antoine Dupont rode a similar wave. So yeah, I mean, I suppose you could definitely make an argument for Sasha to be there. The selections they've made are quite interesting because they're guys that, I mean, the Boks are famous for playing on rotation. So a lot of those guys don't play 80 minutes. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely have thrown Sasha in there. I don't really know where I stand on that thing. I'm not sure how much stock I really put in that. We've seen it before where guys who are sort of shoo-ins for that award don't get it. And other times when a guy you really don't think should even be in the top 10 wins the award. So I don't really put too much stock in that. What was your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I thought he would be in the mix. I know Peter Steph's had an outstanding test season. He didn't play at all for his Japanese club. He was injured. I think to me, when you talk player of the year, you've got to take a combination of those guys who have done it at club and test level. And I thought Sasha would have qualified under that. It's what's got Pollock through to the breakthrough player of the year because it's the 20 matches he played for Northampton. Certainly not the 250 minutes of test rugby he's played at an average of 28 minutes. He's not there for the breakthrough player of the year for that. So, yeah, I also don't put much stock in it because it is subjective. We know where we've seen guys win it that we think there should have been better ones there. Or we've maybe poxed on where we thought maybe another country should have had it. Just interesting, though, for me that Rassie has been quite definitive about doing his talking with Sasha about selection. And we go back about 2 months ago, there was a lot of media narrative, social media narrative, even Rassie deflecting Sasha's performances by saying it's a team effort, it's a collective. Yep. And I think that calmed everything. But what he was showing Joe Public was every time I pick him, what I'm telling you is I think he is the best for the job at the moment. And I think the combination that they settled on in Durban, and it was a pity he got injured, obviously, after 18 minutes in Wellington. But the combination they settled on with Kobus Reinach at 9 and him at 10 has just worked out so well with the likes of Graham Williams and Manie Lebok to come on in that last 20. The big key for me, Zels, is our famed bomb squad that can blow anyone up. What's happened on this tour is that we've never seen them come into action like they should to blow up anyone up. They've had to be drip fed into the situation because of red cards, because of sending offs, because of injuries. And when you look at what England did to New Zealand, and you would not have known that the Springbok team existed, by the way, a 6-2 or 7-1, because all the narrative coming out of England was, wow, did you see those 5 guys when they came on? What an incredible impact they made. That's in the spirit of the game. That's how you make substitutions. That's how you beat the All Blacks. If we did it 7-1, we were destroying the fabric of the game. But
Correct.
behold, I'm glad that England's finally joined the party, as Eddie Jones would say. Come on in, mate. 7-1. It's not a bad thing. Wait till we go 8-0, mate. Or we go 9. We start with 14, mate.
14.
Hey, or we go 10 on the bench and we start with 13, mate. Just to test the first 15 minutes. So that bench has to come on, basically 4 or 5 of them at the same time. And I hope the rugby gods are kind to us, to the paying public, to the watching public, and they give us a contest 15 on 15 for 80 minutes, because that's what World Rugby needs. That's what a game like this demands. Not a mismatch, not 15 playing 13, 14 playing 14, or 14 playing 15. 15 on 15. Let the coaches work their substitutions. Let the chess play out. And let Rassie show what he's got. Let Farrell show what he's got. Let the two packs show what they've got. And the whole thing about 23, as the games evolved, is how do you use your 23? Something New Zealand hasn't done under Robertson. They still game 5-3. They still game with the extra back that you don't know why he's there, sacrificing a forward. So if we go at our thing, we've got the hybrid, Andre Esterhuizen in there. So we know how to manipulate the 6-2. But if I see the Wilkos and the Gerhardus come in at the same time with an Ashley Snyman and one of the loose forwards, then all of a sudden you got boom. There's power and there's difference. When you have to introduce them on the 23rd minute, 29th minute, 41 minute, the impact's not quite the same. And I think if it stays 15 on 15, that is the advantage that the Boks have got over Ireland. It all comes down to who we send on from minute 41 onwards. If there's no injuries and there's no cards in that first 40 minutes.
Spot on. And Wilco and Gerhard Steenekamp, together with the rest of the guys that come on, including Adrian Snyman in his 50th, you know, if they wreck the game like they're supposed to, their arrival, along with the likes of Marnie and Grant later on, I mean, just their ability, those guys, those two halfbacks, their particular skill set in terms of their speed and their playmaking ability, it's just overwhelming, mate. So, you know, you've got Kubis, who I think has had an absolutely brilliant season, probably an unsung hero in this team this season, and Sasha, who are tactically really, really strong. Obviously, Sasha with massive playmaking skills. And then we've got this bench that comes on in the second half, just controls the set piece, dominates, puts the team on a downhill slope, and Marnie's just sitting in that sort of slipstream with Grant Williams threatening around the edges, just picking the guys off. I mean, it's you've got to be ahead against the Boks at halftime and well ahead against the Boks at halftime to have a chance to beat them. And I don't think Ireland have got the cattle necessarily to do that this weekend. And I think Ruan Nokir's selection to start ahead of Adrian Snyman may kind of hint that that's what Rassie's expecting, that he needs work rate in the first 40 and probably power in the second 40. Ruan Nokir famous for his range, ability to get from touchline to touchline, make tackles and get to breakdowns. So I think the Boks may absorb a bit in the first 40, but I think in the second, the gates are going to open up.
But Ruan Nokir, also one of the most influential line-out callers, has a great leadership role with the Bulls and with the Springboks. And many have seen him as the like-for-like natural replacement for Franco Mostert, given the great service Mostert's given the Boks over the last 8 years, that when we into this 2027 World Cup, remember that's still 2 seasons away, that we've got this replacement. And credit to Jake White for moving him to flank as well and playing a lot of his URC Investec Champions Cup rugby there and then back to lock. I mean, for me, he's been one of the finds of the Boks in the last 18 months, Ruan Nokir from the Bulls. You know, for people say we only see the Stormers in Cape Town, we don't. We see a lot of those Bulls who play very well. We see the Japanese-based players. We see the Sharkies who only play well for the Boks. And we see that odd lion who makes a roar and gets into that side. The elephant in the room, talking about the Sharks. The most loved player in South Africa. The one that no one wants to critique because he's been incredible. He's been the dominant second rower for the best part of 6-7 years. Eben Etzebeth hasn't hit his straps all season. We haven't seen that consistent 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 performances. The 2023 monster that burst through and scored and changed games. He had a lot of injury problems with the Sharks. Surely we get a big one out of him on Saturday. A
Oh,
big
mate,
45 minutes at least.
I would love to see that, man. I'd love to see some vintage Evan cracked open in Ireland, in Dublin, mate. Look, the bloke is playing, I think it's his 139th, 140th test. I don't know, this weekend. So he's been around, massive reputation. I think he deserves credit for the fact that he's been healthy, that he's been able to play. And that's partially credit to the rotation, I suppose, at the box. But he's been consistent. He just hasn't been flash. He hasn't been the guy that we know, the guy that put the Sharks on his back to win the Challenge Cup, and the guy that we know so well in the green jersey, who leads from the front. And I would love to see him get back to that. Uh, um, you know, it may have something to do with maybe his role at the box has changed a little bit. I don't know. But it would be absolutely fantastic to see him open up a can of whip ass on Ireland.
Well, he's launched his book. He's become a pups for the second time. The inner child is there, the softer human being. But on Saturday, we just want to see the hardcore Eben go out there and take out a few Irishmen. I've been pleasantly surprised at the dignified manner both teams have spoken to each other this week. I expect that there's been the calm that there's been, even on social media. There's kind of just been no sparring. There's just been this, hey guys, let's see what happens on Saturday at the Aviva. And it's actually great as well. I mean, I think the sparring was done 2023 in the build-up to them coming here. Like you say, one-off results don't determine who's won in the world. Ireland's been there because of consistency. We've been there because of consistency. Ultimately, you judge by titles. Ireland's won some Six Nations. We've backed it up, back-to-back rugby championships. But the big prize, the Holy Grail, is the Rugby World Cup. And dare we say it, Ireland still haven't experienced that semi. We've had the hard-on with 4 World Cup wins and 2019 and 2023. To some of my mates, and there's always mates that come online who object to us calling out Castle Lager and Pick and Pay. They're 2 of our great supporters, 2 of the iconic brands in South Africa. There's 130 years Castle Lager, the taste that stood the test of time. Cricket, rugby, soccer, you name it, they've been the greatest supporter of South African sport. If you think box, you think Braai, and you think Castielke, and I will always give a shout out to the lads who create this fine brew. Loving it. It is bloody hot up here in the attic, mate. I've just got to tell you. For Macro and our other great suppliers. Rassie Peterson, thanks, bud. We appreciate that. But I mean, sponsorships are all part of the game. Imagine if the box weren't allowed to talk about FMB, or they weren't allowed to talk about Pick and Pay, mate. Imagine that. But
Correct.
thank you. There's a great competition running. You can win 130,000 Rand. It's the Legacy Cans. It's all about friendship. And it's really all about the quality of the brew and the quality of the play and the quality of South African sport. And we said this early in the week. Bafana, 3. Zambia, 1. Temba Bavuma, 1. India, 0. With a bit of help from Simon Harmer. And then obviously the box. 13 playing 15, 14 playing 15, beating Italy 32-14. Was an incredible weekend for South African sport. But the biggest news, Zels, Matthew Pearce delivered it on SuperSport. It came out of Dublin today. Everything we've been talking about. Jacques Nienaber saying, babies, I'm back. How did he say it? I'm missing the box and my contract expires just before the start of the 2027 international season. What he's telling us is, fear not, I will be back in green and gold. And that is the best news for me that's come out of this week. We know how much he's missed. We know what value he brings to the Springboks and what incredible timing. And you're still going to keep on asking is, how did they let him into a system to let him go 6 months before a World Cup? It sounds like an Irish joke, mate.
I love it.
What did Paddy say?
Absolutely.
What did Paddy say to Murphy? Sign him just till before the 27 World Cup. Don't ever give him an international contract. Send him back to South Africa.
Mate.
Great news.
I don't know how they got that wrong, mate. I think it was the worst kept. Yeah, we knew Jacques was always going to come home. And how anybody thought that wasn't going to happen, I don't know. I suppose, to be honest, I mean, the Irish must have known. I mean, when they signed him and the term ended before the next World Cup, I think everyone could have connected the dots there. I think Jacques will be a massive, massive addition to this Bok team. If you think the Boks are good now, when Jacques gets back there, it'll be a whole nother level of amazing. So very, very exciting news. And let's hope it all actually comes to fruition.
I'm sure it will come to fruition. Jacques, come huis toe. You can bring your Irish passport, your dual citizenship. We all have them. But that was such great news for me. And it just gives us such a boost going into 2027's planning for the World Cup to know the quality of that individual, a Springbok World Cup winning coach that has been coaching the best club team in Europe, along with Toulouse, that being Leinster in Dublin, with such insights into the Northern Hemisphere, not just into Irish rugby, into French rugby, into the English Prem, and obviously working in the URC. Just fantastic, fantastic news. One of the big collaborations we've been doing with Pick and Pay over the last 2 months, there's been a variety of them, but on the Pick and Pay ASAP, it's the smart kicker. Andre Pollard's not playing. He's sitting in the stands. Any fears over Sasha? I don't have any. Do you?
No, mate. No. Look, like I've said, and I'll say it again, Andre Pollard is the Iceman. He's Val Kilmer, mate. And he's going to be there right at the end. He's definitely going to be involved in the next World Cup, and everybody knows exactly what they're going to get out of him. It is important to get Sasha some reps in between now and then at test level. And if Marnie is going to remain the number 3 option there, then absolutely we need to give him as many reps as possible. The more experienced those guys are and the more answers we have around them, the better. I think Andre is a proven commodity. And in that same sort of conversation, I suppose the same can be said of the likes of Ewan, Sia, the old guard. Like, I think Rassie knows exactly what he's going to get from those guys. The only question mark around them is the potential impact of injuries to guys who are a little bit older. So I don't think we need to see him play Ireland. And I think the 2 guys that are there are more than capable of getting the win this weekend.
All right. Well, if you think that it is hard to kick for polls, for the Springboks, for your club team, your schools team, your provincial team, your club. Of this whole money man 2 years ago when he challenged Andre Pollard. He went on a hammies, toe punted a few into the ground. Didn't go that well. Paid his dues to a charity. Goal kicking is an extremely skillful act in the game of rugby union. That's why a penalty is worth 3, a drop goal is worth 3, and a conversion is worth 2. But I'll tell you now, if you have gone on and you've played that smart kicker, it's not quite as easy as it looks. You could think that you were playing a test match or a very difficult schools match when you're on the memorial field. As Monty would tell me, the toughest kicking he ever did was playing against Rondebosch or Bishops on the memorial field at Saxe. Far more so listening to those parents in your ear than playing at the Stade de France in the 2007 World Cup final. When we look at the game, you can go to Africa Picks, the site that myself and Zels dabble in, are involved in and enjoy. It's an aggregation where we give you lots of information about where to have a flutter. There's an accumulator that I'll be playing. And obviously, I'm back in the box to break the curse at Aviva. But there I'll also explain to you why I say the Boks will win. And I think they'll win with a little bit to spare on Saturday evening. There are other games around. Zels' favorite team, the All Blacks, are in action against Wales. And there's a lot who plays for Wales. And I don't know if he's been sent for an HIA because he's
David Jenkins, man.
David Jenkins said every time we get to the principality, we feel invincible. They've won 1 out of 11. They've won 2 games out of 20. They've both been against Japan.
No, mate. No, they feel insipid, not invincible, mate. Come on.
No. Where's the invincibility, Zels?
Mate, like Eddie said, that they need the cash, mate. They need the cash. They're trying to sell tickets. That's the only way. This All Blacks team may not be great, but they are going to pump Wales on the weekend and win very comfortably. That's my guess.
Wales, invincible.
No, mate.
Shame. I have to tell this whenever we talk about Wales, and I had a lot of love for Welsh rugby, and Scotty Gibbs, one of our favorites, one of the greats that come out of Welsh rugby. But that match we won 98-13, and we played them in 1998 at Loftus. It was 96-13 we won, and Narkodroska dropped the ball on the way to the try line. They didn't get the 100, but James Dalton had been replaced and he was on the side after 70 minutes. And Wales had emptied their whole bench except for one guy. And the score was 96-13. And Bullet turned around and said to him, you must be so cock that they haven't put you on yet. For those who need a translation, I don't know how good you are if you're on the bench and 96-30, they haven't given you a run, mate, and there's 2 minutes to go. So it's not going to be as bad as that when they play the All Blacks. I don't think the All Blacks got it in to stick anyone away by those old traditional 50, 60, 70 points. They've made 12 changes. It looks good when you hear that, but when you look at the team setup, they brought Ricky Ione back at 13. He's going to Leinster, so he's not available next season. Anton Lienert-Brown, 90 test matches. They started him at 12. They brought Severisi and stuck him on the wing. Leicester back to the bench. Severisi win replacement. Why? Finally, Ruben Love gets the game at fullback. Only his second start. Will Jordan to the win. D-Mac back at 10. So between him and Beauden Barrett, 27 tests. Those are the two who have played. Haven't made the impact. We know that Roy Goddard's out injured. Cortes Ratima is there. I played around with a bit of combinations in the pack. 5-3 split. Again, what is this guy doing?
Well, mate, you asked for Ruben Love and you got him, but like you say, there's some of the other stuff. The All Blacks not in a great space. I think they'll put out a resounding victory against Wales, mate. But it's not going to. At best, it's going to paper over what has been a disappointing season for them. And the worst part of it is they don't have 12 blokes who are injured who are going to reinforce them next year. This is pretty much as good as it gets for them. I'm not sure where the answers are. Richie Monga needs to come back. Cam Roygaard needs to stay healthy. The Geordie Barrett at 12 experiment needs to come to an end. But I don't really know where else they go from there. For me, the match that I am licking my lips at, I don't know if you still want to talk New Zealand, mate, but this Sunday game between England and Argentina, I am very much looking forward to that one, mate. I mean, it's a revival of old hostilities, and I think England are probably the most improved team this season. Definitely have a verve about them. If you ask them, they just beat the world's #1 team, and now they're playing Argentina, who themselves are quite plucky. And Argentina can ask teams some particular questions. England are going to have their hands full with these guys as much as Argentina are the underdogs in this one, having lost to England in Argentina earlier this year. I don't know, man. I might put some money on Los Pumas.
Well, you always put money on Los Pumas because you are from there. So,
indeed.
I really care. As I said on Monday, and I text you on 45 minutes to say that's why you never back these guys. They can't back it up. They were 21-0 down. It all depends on which Argentinian side decides to pitch up and how they play. Do they get the good start or do they give England a good start? If you think England have had 2 poor starts against Fiji and against New Zealand, neither were good enough to capitalize on that. Argentina, the most incredible end against Scotland, 5 tries in 23 minutes. It's the kind of performance we saw against the All Blacks in Buenos Aires. We've seen them play against us like that in Argentina. They were competitive when they played us at Twickenham in the finale of the Rugby Championship for us. Never went away. I want them to do well. It'd be great if they won and then asked Ireland to play another game so they could get the Grand Slam that's eluded New Zealand this time round. I just like the way that side's grown and continues to grow. And then I look at a side like Australia that's completely regressed. And then if you ask me about New Zealand, just one last word. If 2 years ago you had asked Scott Robinson, who's your midfield? And when it came to the last test match in 2025, after 28 tests, he's picking Anton Lienert-Brown and Rico Ione as his midfield. Both of them combined have played, 160, 170 tests, and neither good enough to actually make the team at the moment. What does that say to anyone in New Zealand about this guy's planning?
Indeed, mate. And you spoke about this, and I think in the last episode of the one before, he just has to get brave with his selections because regardless of the fact that he doesn't have a world-beating team at the moment like Rassie does, he still needs to invest in the same depth creation policies because otherwise he's going to be stuck with these same blokes week in and week out indefinitely until eventually they fire him. He's got to go find some guy that we've never heard of who's absolutely killing it up for the Tasman Makos see something in this bloke and bring in his unique skill sets and do something, because we just keep seeing a sort of reshuffle of the same guys we've seen for the last 10 years there, mate. They need some new blood, mate. Bloody hell, let's do something there, Razor.
To find something, Zels, he doesn't need to go to Whangarei in the north, right at the top, down to Invercargill. He needs to go offshore. Australia needs to go offshore. England, dare I say, would be even better if they went offshore. The teams that have gone offshore have been the Pumas and the Springboks, our two favorite teams at the moment. Follow everything on SA Rugby Magazine, all the live reports, see what the boys have to say, and then also register your name, your address, your email, your number, and you stand a chance of winning 100,000 Rand. And finally, on a more somber note, a big shout out from Zels and myself and the teams at SA Rugby on the Keo Zels show to Simon Borchardt, the editor of SA Rugby Magazine. The funeral of his dad today in Pretoria. Simon, to you and your Bert and your family, our love and condolences, mate. Have as good a day as you possibly can, and hopefully there is some cheer for you on Saturday when the Boks beat Ireland.